I was out on the road grader all day, and I was listening to the radio, a couple of different stations, including the NPR one, which always aggravates me. So I'm a little aggravated. But it has to do with this kerfuffle with Israel and Iran. Now, the Iranians said before this ever, they told them they were going to retaliate in part because the UN did not condemn the Israeli strike into Syria that killed, into the diplomatic compound of Iran, which is an act of war in the first place. And he killed like 7 guys. Well, the UN should have condemned that. Everybody should condemn that because that is how wars start. But the UN didn't. Because in our eyes, Israel can do no wrong. Well, because they wouldn't condemn it, Iran felt that they had to retaliate. You can't let something like that just go. You can't just ignore it. But they were going to do it in proportion. So they told them, they're going to retaliate. They warned them plenty far ahead of time. They were ready for this. The Israelis knew it was coming, and they told them that they would not use the hypersonics, but they were going to make a poke at them. So they launched a bunch of those drones, the Shahed, the slow-moving, and they took out a lot of them, or almost all of them, but they expected this. The Iranians knew this was going to happen. But then they sent some cruise missiles, too. And after this was done, the Iranians were actually a little surprised how successful this strike was. Though Israel keeps trying to play it down, patting themselves on the back for taking out these drones, which was totally expected. And there was help from Jordan, and I think the Saudis were involved, and we were involved in the UK in taking out these drones. But the cruise missiles went through and hit the runway that the planes took off from that had went and did the strike in Syria. This was the retaliation. This other thing was, and they damaged a C-130, I think, that was sitting on the runway. Though Israel keeps trying to play it down, but they did do some damage. But they didn't kill anybody. That was their warning, that they weren't going to, because they could have, but they didn't. But they made a mess of that runway. I mean, huge craters in the runway, so that was no drone. That had to be a cruise missile. But it's funny, too, because then Israel, they start showing this video of this attack coming in. Well, and then somebody called them on it that part of the video that they were using for this attack was actually something that had been taken in Russia when they were firing those multiple rocket launchers at Ukraine. But here Israel kind of tagged it onto their thing, and they said, well, when they got called on it, then he said, well, it was just more of an inspirational thing. It wasn't trying to be accurate. Israel lies. They will deceive any way they can. Just a habit with them. But the thing that people fail to realize is now, with all these drones going and all this anti-aircraft stuff that they're blasting, which is a limited amount. I mean, they have used up a lot of this just in the past. Now you have kind of shown your hand. Everybody knows where all your radars are. They know where all this stuff is being launched from. This is a great, they looked under your dress. So if Iran wants to again with their hypersonics, which is what is going to happen if Israel is, after Iran did this, Israel said, okay, after after Iran did this to Israel, Iran said, okay, we're going to call it square, and that's it. This is a retaliation. Leave it be. And even our people are saying, leave it be. But no, the Israelis, we got to retaliate against the retaliation for something that they started in the first place. So they want to retaliate. But like I said, you've shown your hand already. Everybody knows where everything is. It's a good likelihood if they fire something into Iran and there are any casualties there, I don't even think there have to be casualties because Iran is prepared for this. They've been prepared for this kind of thing for a long time. You make a poke at them and you're going to find out just how ugly this can get. All they have to do is leave it alone. They did a stupid thing. They got their fingers spanked for doing it. And the UN finally condemned the Iranian strike on Israel and also the Israeli strike on that embassy in Syria. I don't know why people think that Syria is fair game. Everybody can launch anything into Syria and there's not supposed to be a repercussion. But we do it too. But if they leave it alone, but their pride is hurt because somebody attacked them. So they want to lash out at somebody. Big mistake. We know it, but they're all pumped up and they think they have a right to go back at them. Huge mistake. Because what's going to happen, Iran's going to come back at them. It's going to drag us into it. This could very easily go nuclear. You just leave that thing alone. But they're hotheads. But you give Iran the opportunity to use some hypersonics and you're going to find out. They're bragging that, they stopped all these things. Like I say, Iran knew they were going to be able to stop these things. But in so doing, they showed the hand. Israel did. And used up a whole bunch of expensive anti-aircraft missiles to take out these cheap drones. So those missiles cost like 20 times what the drones cost. So it's a great win-win. For Iran. And now Israel is scrambling, trying to get more anti-air missiles. In fact, we're scrambling. We used up a whole lot of stuff, expensive stuff on them. And, part of their Iron Dome is them damn Patriots, which there isn't enough of to go around. So we're pressuring Japan. Japan manufactures those Patriot missiles for their own defense, but their constitution forbids them from exporting military gear. This has been that way for a long time. So they can't export them, but they're licensed by Raytheon. So we think that we could persuade them to give us some of their missiles, and they would take our missiles, we would give them to Israel and to Ukraine. Kind of a little swap-roo there. But in order to do this, technically, Japan would have to rewrite their constitution. Because since World War II, they've been forbidden from doing this. And this is something they agreed to. And you're going to pressure them to change that? But that's the grand scheme. But they're going to poke a hornet's nest there. They really want to make a strike at Iran. And like Iran is just going to sit there and take that. Well, like I say, they've got hypersonics. They were being nice and not using them. But let's see you stop them. It could only go. Our people are trying to tell them, Israel, to knock it off, call it quits, leave it alone. But they're hot. They want to go. And they always expect we're going to back them up. And fools that we are, we will be in there trying to stop these. But if we get involved, Iran is warned. If we get involved, they let us take out some of them drones. Well, like I say, they were a sacrifice. They were actually surprised how many did get through. But, like I say, Israel lies. They won't admit how many actually. But I saw pictures of big craters in that runway of that airport. So if they want to do damage, they can do some damage. But, Israel gets this, we were so clever. We saw it coming. Well, they told you. They've been telling you, warning you, they were going to do this for a long time, giving you every chance to be prepared, and us every chance to get prepared. And then bragging how clever they were to take these out. You aren't going to take out them hypersonics. If they start using them, you are screwed. So what do? You retaliate with nukes. Nobody died. You got a few holes in the runway and you got your feelings hurt. Leave it be. It ain't going to end well otherwise.